I had to really ask myself, was I worth this? Was I worth this investment in time and resources just for my own joy, my own fulfillment? Welcome to the Love Your Brain podcast, the podcast designed for everyday people who are ready to hop off the negative thought hamster wheel and enjoy a less hostile environment in their own brains. Our brains are where we live our entire lives, and I'm on a mission to help people see that they have everything they need to make it a happier place to be. So join us for this episode of the Love Your Brain podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Love Your Brain podcast, or welcome if you're new. Today on the podcast, we're going to be talking about the new year. A lot of us have already started thinking, what do I want next year to look like? What changes do I want to make? How is this next year going to get me closer to those things I desire to change in my life right now? Maybe you're busy making a mental list of all the things that you don't want to be doing still next year, or the things that you really want to start incorporating. Honestly, it can get kind of overwhelming. And then what happens is if one thing doesn't go right, then we just go, oh man, you think about all the times that you've tried to change and failed, or how your New Year's resolutions never work, and on and on. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can move forward into this next year with a positive framework, and you can, in fact, rewire your brain so that this new year doesn't have to be filled with frustration and feeling stuck. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So today I'm going to share with you the one thing you can do in this next year to massively up-level your entire life. Now, as someone who has completely transformed my life drastically a few times now so far in my lifetime, there are some trends that I can see in each of these life transformations that I've been through. And I'm hoping to share those with you today so that you can get what you want from this next year, the change that you're looking for. So let me walk you through a bit of what my process of transformation looked like in my most recent season of change. Hopefully, this will just give you some context of where I started from and where it came from. So, if you are an avid listener of the podcast, you've probably heard me share a bit about my midlife gap quarter, where I left my career and took what ended up being more than a quarter, more than a couple months, to really work on myself. This came about when my youngest was graduating high school. I knew I needed to take a breather. I really needed to figure out who I was and what I really wanted out of life. And there was one huge barrier to this that most probably would not have known. Just from looking on the outside, it probably wasn't obvious, and it probably wouldn't have been what you would have expected. It wasn't the financial stress of taking that long off of work. It wasn't what will happen to my long-term career goals. My biggest barrier was my own self-worth. Now, I had juggled parenting and working for most of my adult life, and so I always saw part of my value as a human being as being someone who's financially contributing. And that is a big deal for most people if you've spent a good portion of your adult life bringing in income to take time where you won't be. Even without realizing it, we can start to associate our own self-worth with working, with producing, with being productive, with making money, with contributing to your family in that very concrete way. And so the first barrier for me that I had to overcome was to start working on my own self-worth. Before I was even ready to take the gap quarter, I had to really ask myself, was I worth this? Was I worth this investment in time and resources just for my own joy, my own fulfillment? And I had to put some work in to get there, to the place where I really believed it was justifiable, that my own fulfillment in life was worth this leap. And as sad as that may sound to some of you, this is a space that so many live in, especially women in society. So many live in that space of feeling like it's not okay to want to enjoy your own life and believing that it's worth whatever it takes to put you there so that you can enjoy your life. Let's be honest, generations before us definitely did not make that a priority. And if they did make enjoyment of their life a priority, they were usually ostracized in some way because it was just not the norm, especially for women. So that was my first barrier to everything I wanted on the other side of this, was my belief. The belief that I was worth it, that my own fulfillment was worth it. And once I took a step in that direction, confirming that belief in my own worth, things started to domino, and fast. It was like taking that one step in that direction of confirming that belief in myself was the step I had to get over before everything else started to move in autopilot, realigning everything ahead of me. And that's the key here for any time we want to make meaningful change in our lives and in this new year ahead of us. It's deciding that you are going to believe you are worth it and taking one step in that direction. Just one. It's always interesting when I see this play out for other people, usually, because I feel like it's easier to see on someone else's journey than just trying to observe it in myself. When you watch someone take one step by maybe leaving a job, starting a new health routine, leaving or starting a relationship, those things don't happen in isolated vacuums. Like they don't make that one change and then everything else around them stays the same. You almost always will see a domino effect happen. When they take that one step to honor their own self worth, other areas will also begin to change as well. All the other areas of their life will start to up level in alignment. It's like your brain just needs to know, do you actually believe it? Do you believe you are enough? And then once you say yes and show it yes by taking that one step, all the other doors start opening. You start seeing what's actually possible, things that previously you didn't even consider because your brain didn't even think it was a possibility. There is so much about that gap quarter I took that was never in my plans, that I wasn't even working towards, but that just happened because that first step of commitment towards my own self worth, and then it all started unfolding. I remember when I was first talking to my staff about leaving my job, and people were like, well, what are you going to do next? Like, what job are you going to do next? And honestly, I didn't know. I figured I had 3 months to figure that out. I wasn't even worried about it. My main concern was leaving my position in a good standing so that I could transition and know that everything was set to good course. I wasn't really thinking about what was next career wise for me. But I remember distinctly one day, one of my staff said something very jokingly offhand and said, maybe you're going to end up being in a music video or something someday. And I laughed because that was nothing a part of my life at that time. And then I had one of these weird moments where time kind of pauses. And I was like, that was random, but also that might mean something. I think we all have these intuitive gifts that look different for each of us. For me, there are moments like these where sometimes I can tell my brain is almost a foreshadowing of significance, but I don't necessarily know why in the moment. Just like, that means something in the future, but I don't know what yet, so just bookmark it. And then lo and behold, it was probably about a month after I left my career, I got signed with a talent agency. That was nowhere remotely on my plan, but things just kept happening, honestly, faster than I could have ever imagined after I took that first step. I started doing improv, acting and modeling again for the first time in over 30 years. I got into the best shape of my life. I started lifting weights. I was having so much fun getting strong. My relationships were transforming around me, and it really just became like a domino effect. That one step was the first of the unfolding of all the others. Things that I never even dreamed were possible for me. And that is the funny thing, too. We often will start with that first step, but kind of have an idea where we want to head. Like down the road, I would like to experience X, Y, or Z, which is great because that gives us the motivation that we need to move forward, to have the courage to take that first step. But that end goal rarely delivers the exact plan that you set out for. But that's actually a huge part of the point here. Because when you take that first step, your brain is wired only for what you've experienced so far, only what it's seen so far. It's wired for all the things that you've done and lived in the past. So those goals and those dreams are birthed from an old place. But as you take the first step towards honoring your self worth, it starts rewiring. You are building new neural pathways and you are providing it evidence that you believe you are worth more. You are capable of doing something different. And as you do that, things start blossoming for you in ways that your old brain could have never even fathomed. Your dreams start looking completely different because your brain is wired differently now. But that's the cool part because as you take each step, the path towards a new end goal emerges, but the key is that each individual step is as aligned as possible with your self worth, keeping your focus on who you are, what's important to you, and your own authentic self. As long as each individual step is aligned, you will end up in the exact place where you need to be, where your heart and your spirit desires to be, and likely where your old brain never imagined it could be. So, what is that one thing that will totally uplevel your next year? honoring you, believing that you are worth it, that your enjoyment and fulfillment in your own life is important. And then just do that one thing to show your brain evidence that that is true, whatever it is. Maybe for you, it's taking a step towards a new hobby or a sport. Maybe it's taking a trip by yourself you've always wanted to go to. Maybe it's leaving or starting a new job. Taking that one step in that direction that shows your brain that you are 1000% worth it will start the domino effect to totally uplevel your life and your brain. Once your brain starts to rewire, things just happen that you would have never imagined because the operating system of your brain just got an upgrade. So, what is that one thing for you? What will it be? What will be the evidence that you will provide to your brain to show it that you are valuable, you are important, and your own enjoyment or fulfillment is worth it? And you only need just one step to start. And then the things will start to domino from there. You just need to believe enough to take the one step towards valuing yourself. I'm so excited to see how this next year unfolds for you. And if you want to dig even deeper into this, then stay tuned for this next part. Now, if you listened last week to the podcast, you heard me introduce our new Vision Board Masterclass that's going to be released here shortly. This class is self-led, so you can do it all at once or do each module separately and slowly if you prefer. But it will walk you through in detail how I build my vision boards that set a framework for moving forward. And this is not going to be like any vision board information that you've received before because it's building this framework for your brain with neuroscience at the center of it. It's creating a truly impactful mission for your future. So the first step to get access to this is just to go ahead and join our free online community. The link is in the show notes. Once you're in that free community, you'll see that there's an option to get signed up for the Vision Board Masterclass. This class specifically I will be offering right now at a discounted rate to try and get as many people to try it before we go into the next year as possible. And then it'll likely go up in price after that. And even if you don't want to purchase the masterclass, just feel free to join the community. You can connect with other podcast listeners. We'd love to hear from you in there. Share your wins, get some feedback, build community. We can do it all there. And just a heads up, I will probably be taking a bit of time off of podcasting at the beginning of this new year, but make sure you're plugged into that online community so we can keep the conversation going. All right, I'm so excited for this next year, and I hope you are too. Have a great week, guys. I hope you found something helpful here today on the Love Your Brain podcast. Maybe a laugh or a feeling of validation, or maybe just a few moments to have company while you do your laundry. Whatever you take from it, I hope you enjoyed your time and leave feeling empowered to be more you every day. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next episode, and leave a review. I'd love to hear what you think. Have a great one.